Hello Year 6, hope you had a lovely weekend. Welcome back to your online learning. This is today's literacy session. So before we start with the session that is planned for today, I just wanted to highlight to you the activities that we had planned for Friday. Reason for this is because if you haven't done these already, this is a good starting point for you. The reason I would like you to look back at them is because on Friday you were asked to begin planning and mulling over your story ideas, thinking about our Skyship adventure, start creating and thinking about two different contrasting characters, one who might be really adventurous and brave, one who might be shy and quite nervous. Are they going to take a pet with them on their adventure, or a creature companion like Madame Gainsford, her Stout, which is in the top right hand corner, in Brightstorm? So it was all about starting to think of ideas and what may happen that changes the course of the events in our Starship adventure. Not Starship, Skyship. Next, we asked you to design your own Skyship, thinking about the name, the different parts that we could potentially write about where the characters may be on the Skyship. I asked you to be specific, label it with expanded noun phrases. That I was so impressed with some of the ones that I saw, so well done. If you haven't finished those, it'd be lovely if you could finish them and then upload them to the Padlet, and I'll show you that in a minute. And lastly, I asked you to create a map to develop your own fantasy world, following previous instructions, which will help you when planning out your story. There was a video to follow from Kieran Larwood, who is an author of Podkin One Ear, and he took you through the different stages of what to do. And actually, I did one myself and I really enjoyed it. So today's session, thinking about blog challenge number 4, and this was a little message that I saw up on the website, so I just wanted to draw everyone's attention to it. It's really, really important that when you are using Teaching Live, you follow these rules. They've just been added, so I'm guessing that some people haven't been following these rules. So during the live sessions, it's really important that all blog posts, comments, Padlet posts and Jotcast posts need to be written in plain English, plain standard English. It then says below, just here for example, they aren't going to publish any work that uses text speech, emojis or coloured fonts. It then says up here to be respectful and kind towards others, and then it says down here they will not publish anything that has bad language or is unkind to others. They're also not going to publish anything that doesn't relate to the task, and for here, if they think that the person submitting the work is not acting in good faith, so if they think that they're pretending to be another person, they won't submit it. It says here again, you must write in black font and to be signed by you using your first name and tagged by your school name. They're going to start reporting people who don't follow these rules to us, so your teachers. So anybody who repeatedly breaks the rules. And it just defines text speech as any writing where text abbreviations are used instead of standard spelling. So for example, using the letter U for you, or GR8 meaning great, or where emojis are used to represent words, so weather emojis for snow, rain, etc. I just wanted to highlight this to you because I really don't want to hear from anybody at Teaching Live that any Eden Park child is being inappropriate or not following these rules. Okay, thank you. So I had a bit of a look on the website and I explored it a little bit, and here is what they have created. So there's a new button on the afternoon session which says add your pictures to the Skyship gallery. So this is the Skyship gallery, and there's a little Padlet and there's a little button, actually a little as we've already been using, where you can add your pictures. So your Skyships on Friday, some of the ones I saw were beautiful. Please upload them to the gallery. I also thought some of your maps were lovely of our worlds, so you could potentially try and add them too. They might not be accepted, but I think we've done something a bit different, so they might like to see those as well. And like, these are some lovely drawings to start with, but I was really quite astounded by the quality of some of our Skyships. It'd be really great if we could share those. So they're just on the website, and you're looking for afternoon session, add your picture to the Skyship gallery. Okay, so today's task. what Pi Corbett has asked us to do is do 2 sections. So first of all, we need to write a prelude or prelude for our story. So the definition of that is an action or event serving as an introduction to something more important. So the important part is the story, and the prelude is the introduction, so that it's telling the reader what they're about to read about. Other words that mean the same thing are opening, introduction, start or starter, opener, lead-in, or precursor. So it's basically setting the scene of the story. So we're going to write the prelude to our Skyship story, and the real purpose of this is to introduce it. It's not about giving too much away. It gives hints to the reader about where the story may go and what it might include, but it's not the story. So I'm going to take you through it step by step, and I've written my own version as well, and I'm going to talk you through how I've written my prelude, so that you can follow those steps, and things to think about and things to consider and resources that can help you. Okay, so this was Pi Corbett's example called, and his starship is called Stargrazer. Hopefully you've got the name of your Stargraze skyship ready. I've decided to call mine the Amberlin. So try and come up with something original. Try to make sure that the names that you use are indicative to the type of story. So please don't use silly names like Jeff, Bob, etc. Sometimes we tend to do that in year 6, and that's not year 6 writing. You need to make sure that the words and the place names and the names of the characters are all setting the mood of the story. It can be a bit mystical, that's fine, but try to be sensible with your name choices. I will pull you up on it if I don't think that they set the tone of the story. So he highlighted these different sentence openers for us to use to help structure our story. And what I've done is I've started to kind of summarise what is important and what we're doing in each different paragraph. So he said, you've probably been on an airship when the skies are blue and the breeze just enough to give the engines a helping hand. Remember how it feels to have the wind blowing through your hair, to see the fields and towns far below, and to feel totally free of everyday life. I bet you've enjoyed holiday flights across the bay, journeys to see distant relatives, knowing that once you've landed, you'll be able to relax for several weeks. So from that paragraph, I got a description of an enjoyable trip on an airship or a skyship. There's good weather and it's at a nice time of year. And it's talking about all the lovely things that you can do on your skyship travels. And it's setting a really nice scene. Then it takes a turn. But you should also try a trip when the winter winds are as sharp as knives, with the clouds darkening, for that is another matter. When the thunder explodes like cannon fire around you, and a lightning strike would bring the airship down. When the rigging strains and the ship's engines falter, that's when an airship ride is not so much fun. So now it's setting the scene of a dangerous, scary, or terrifying trip on an airship. The weather is bad to reflect that, or it's a wintry time of year. So it's thinking about, and I want you to think about how they've created that mood. What have they done to create that dangerous and scary mood? Then, final paragraph. And some say they've seen sky pirates hiding in the clouds waiting to strike. You probably won't believe this, but some say that there are flying beasts with claws that can tear apart even the toughest dragon skin balloon. So here, I felt that the last paragraph was describing dangers in the sky and what creatures may be lurking. So hopefully you've started to think about which creatures could be lurking in yours, and I'll talk you through mine in a moment. Okay, so what I've done here is you could pause on the screen. I've tried to highlight where I think Pi Corbett has used different elements within each paragraph. So this paragraph, for example, paragraph 1, I've highlighted where I think he's indicated that it's almost spring and summer and that the weather's lovely. I've highlighted that in green. So when the skies are blue and the breeze just enough to give the engines a helping hand. The wind blowing through your hair, but it's a nice image created, and I've put that in dark blue because it's saying the effect of the weather on the ship. So, and that happens throughout. It says about the movements of the ship in relation to the weather. So this is a nice image. It's helping the engines move the ship, whereas down here it says when the thunder explodes like cannon fire around you. I'm very much hoping by now we know that these are different types of original similes, not cliches. Lightning strike would bring the airship down. It's saying the effect of the weather on the airship. So rigging strains and the engines falter. That's when an airship ride is not so much fun. So what he's really doing and doing well is he's using the weather in this paragraph and this paragraph to create different scenes, okay? And then he's using similes and metaphors throughout and personification to create those images and create a sense of an enjoyable trip and a not so enjoyable trip. Then at the end, he's describing the different dangers. So we've got sky pirates here that are hiding in clouds waiting to strike, and flying beasts with claws that can tear apart even the toughest dragon skin balloon. So from this, we already know that the sky ship that we are, the Stargazer, the big balloon that's at the top of the ship that's keeping it afloat, that is made from dragon skin. So again, it's a really original thought as to what the airship is created from. So I want you to be thinking about, that's what I asked you to do, to consider your airship. What is it made from? Try to make it original. Try not to just use a standard design. That will help you create more imagery and make your story stand out. And you really want to be making a real effort with your story, trying to make it really stand out. It was great that we had some work mentioned last week for one of our pupils, Isabel. Great job. But lots of you have been writing incredibly. So just keep up that level and I'm sure you will also be recognised. Okay, so here we've got sentence starters that can help you structure your prelude. They're the red ones that Pi Corbett has highlighted, and I want you to use them. I've then put a little summary, which I've already spoken to you about which paragraph should contain what, with different questions to help you structure your paragraph, okay? So, for example, it says in paragraph 1, you need to describe an enjoyable trip on an airship that has good weather, or you could talk about it being spring and summertime because it's a nice time to travel. It could be that you're in a warm country, and I want you to use similes and metaphors to describe it. Then you need to think about how the weather is affecting the ship to create a really nice feel. So what is the weather doing to the ship, and how does it feel being in that moment? Then in your paragraph 2, you need to describe a dangerous and scary or terrifying trip on an airship where the weather's bad and the time of year is possibly autumn or winter, where it's likely to be more stormy, more dangerous weather. They could possibly be in a colder country or going over some sort of land mass where it's colder or the conditions are harsher. Maybe there's a sandstorm in a desert, who knows? So you need to come up with 2 different ideas across the 2 paragraphs. So a nice and positive paragraph and a negative paragraph. Okay, a paragraph where you're enjoying yourself and a paragraph where you're terrified potentially. Then you need to be, in your last one, you need to be thinking about different dangers that can lurk in the sky. So what mythical creatures lurk? Here are some ideas for you. So bringing you to this, what mythical creatures are you going to encounter in the sky? So I literally just typed in sky mythical creatures and they came up with this list. So we've got sky goblins, sky dragons, sky pirates, sky witches, evil sky fairies, maybe griffins, which are a lion eagle combination animal, I think. Have a look at it. Lightning birds, Pegasus is a winged horse, a phoenix maybe. Think about which ones are usually have a positive role and which ones have a negative role, and you can maybe think about how they can be intertwined within your story. So I've talked about 2 different types of those in my prelude, which I'll show you in a moment. I want you to consider your skyship design when writing aspects of the prelude. That will help you. So what you've already done should help you. What weather might they encounter? How might they be feeling? And what will be the effect of the weather on the ship? So how will the parts move, or how will the weather damage them? So is it, for example, you could write about in the sleeping cabin, for example, in one of the pictures I showed you, there were lots and lots of hammocks. So could it be that the ship's almost turned upside down and the movement of the hammocks change? Or could it be something happens to the ropes or the sails or the balloon or the deck? maybe the galley, maybe the steering. Is there a harpoon on the front? Does the harpoon snap under the pressure? There's lots, or does the anchor fall? You've got lots of different things that you can consider. So have a think about that. What's the weather going to do if they encounter a storm or a sandstorm? How is that going to affect the ship? Okay, so what I've done is I've attached to you my thought process, and I've given you a similar type of table. What I've done is I've got the paragraphs down the side, and within the paragraphs, the 3 or 4 different sentence starters. And then what I started to do is I started to jot down ideas. So for example, you've probably been, and then I wanted to write about the weather. So I put friendly rays of sunshine warming the heart of the ship. So obviously the ship doesn't have a heart, but I thought that was a nice metaphor. So I popped that one in there. So remember how, and then I'm going to type, I wanted to write something about the cooling breeze on the face, the noise from the sails as the wind catches it. So I think of being on a ship out at sea. So I thought that relates to summer, that kind of like flapping noise. I don't know if you can imagine it, but I thought about that. That's like a nice sound. So I thought that the wind could catch it. And then I thought about watching the sun rise and set on the horizon, and me feeling really small, but that's like a nice feeling. I bet you've enjoyed visits to new places, to see family and friends, as well as trips abroad to discover fresh places, catch up with loved ones and relax. So I've got the majority of my sentence there. I just want to make it better, and it doesn't fully make sense on its own. But you should also try ship terrified whilst an angry storm invades the sky. And for that is another matter, I have magpied off of Pike Orbits. I thought that was a good sentence, and I wanted to keep that, or end of sentence. When the hailstones drop like volcanic bombs, it took me a while to come up with that image, because I wanted the idea of enormous bombs coming out of the sky, or enormous hailstones. So I thought about a volcanic eruption and how it shoots out these almost like lava rocks that they call volcanic bombs, and they can be like up to 30 centimetres in diameter. So I thought that was a good image. And lightning threatening to set the ship's sails on fire. Ship's sails, a bit of alliteration, and lightning threatening, so a bit of personification there. When the ropes cling on for dear life, obviously they don't do that. Again, it's personification, and the engine slows. I'm not sure that's the best piece of description I could come up with, so I might try and improve that if I was to rewrite it again. That's when an airship ride is not so much fun. Again, I've magpied that sentence, but you might want to innovate it and make it your own. And some say they've seen sky goblins waiting in the skies, clutching onto lightning bolts. I quite like that image, imagining them being in a storm. So I've chosen to talk about sky goblins as my mythical creature. And then I've got, you probably won't believe that there are flying beasts with talons like, and I need to come up with some sort of simile, but actually I've left it there because I wanted to go back to my dragon work, because here I'm going to talk about a dragon as well. So I'm going to go back to my dragon work to magpie some ideas to help me write this from my poem. So flying beast of talons like something, and I'm going to say something about tearing the strongest basilisk hide balloons. So again, I've looked at a mythical creature. So my skyship balloon is going to be made of a basilisk skin, basically. And they've got sharp teeth to slice ropes made from phoenix feathers. So I wanted the ropes somehow to be woven by phoenix feathers. So I'm going to come up with that. Next, I then took so you can flip between the two if this is helpful, so you can pause this and then read the comparison of my 2 different sentences. What I've done is I've really tried to extend them. So for example, if we take, and some say they've seen, so I put sky goblins waiting in skies, clutching onto lightning bolts. So I extended it and I said, sky goblins lurking in the enraged skies, biding their time and clutching onto the lightning bolts forming in the cumulonimbus clouds. So the cumulonimbus clouds are the clouds the really angry clouds you get when there's a thunderstorm. So I was naming it. I was being really specific for that sentence. Then let's look at the one at the bottom. So I made a bit of a list because obviously I've left a bit of a gap there to find more information, to think more carefully about my different descriptors and my literary language. So I've got flying beasts with talons like So tear, strongest basilisk hide balloons and sharp teeth slice ropes made from phoenix feathers. And I've extended it and I've come up with, you probably won't believe this, but some say that there are flying beasts with talons, like serrated scimitar swords, which can slash through even the strongest basilisk hide balloons, and whose sharp teeth, standing in enraged crescent moons, can slice thick, durable ropes made from intricately woven phoenix feathers. What I would say is I actually need a hyphen there. So this is what you should be doing all the time if you're writing, going back, editing it, thinking, have I missed anything? So intricately and woven, those words are, it's basically a compound adjective to describe the phoenix feathers. So intricately and woven, I would need a hyphen there. So all of these notes that I've made into full sentences with my sentence starter. And then from that, I have put it into my prelude. So I'm going to read this for you. Notice as well, I've called my prelude at the top, I've got my name, okay? The Anne Boleyn. So you've probably been on a sky ship when the friendly rays of the sun shine down brightly, warming the heart of the ship. Remember how it feels to feel the cooling breeze on your face and the noise from the sails as the light wind catches it. Remember watching from above as the sun rises and sets on the distant horizon, making you feel small and insignificant. I bet you've enjoyed skyship voyages to visit new places, family and friends, as well as trips abroad, knowing that you'll be able to discover fresh places, catch up with loved ones and relax. But you should also try a trip when the ship trembles whilst an irate tempest invades the heavens, for that is another matter. When the hailstones drop like volcanic bombs during a newly awakened volcano's first explosive eruption, and lightning rages, threatening to set the ship's sails alight. When the ropes cling on for dear life and the engine begins to slow, there's obviously an error there, that's when an airship ride is not so much fun. And some say they've seen sky goblins lurking in the enraged skies, biding their time and clutching onto the lightning bolts forming in the cumulonimbus clouds. You probably won't believe this, but some say that there are flying beasts with talons like serrated scimitar swords, which can slash through even the strongest basilisk-hide balloons, and whose sharp teeth, standing in enraged crescent moons, can slice thick, durable ropes made from intricately woven phoenix feathers. So I've just obviously read that aloud to you, and I've realised that I've put, remember how it feels to feel. That's repetition. So I didn't see instantly now go back and change that. I also noticed that I've put, and the engine begin to slow. That's not standard English. It either needs to be engines begin to slow or engine begins to slow. And what I would note as well is that it's written in present tense, okay? How it feels, sails, trembles, invades, hailstones drop like during a newly awakened, and lightning rages, threatening to set the ship's sails alight. Okay, but as I said, so I would go back now and change those bits to make it better. But overall, I'm really quite happy with this. What I would say is this actually took me quite a bit of time. This is not a 5-minute job anymore, okay? You need to be really exploring your language and coming up with your best imagery. What I would say is use your previous work. Think about the images that you've come up with for different things and put them into this piece of writing. That's why you've done them. That's what I did. A lot of this bit at the bottom, I have magpied from my own work. So do the same. Magpie ideas from your own work. It might be that you've also seen some work of others and you thought, oh, that was a great sentence, or different things that I've said and you've got noted down. Use them, okay? Make them your own. Okay, so what I also found, that it was really good to have these links to different weather vocabulary lists, because from there I was able to build the images and use more interesting words than just rain or wind. And I came up with like cumulonimbus clouds, but there were other words, like for storm, instead of using storm I used tempest, but I also almost used cloudburst. So I was just also using a thesaurus to get those better bits of vocabulary in those words. So do the same. think, is this the best word I can use? Have I repeated any words? If so, change and make better. Okay, so hints and tips. Use everything you've learned in the previous 3 sessions. As I've just said, I have not done this cold. I've gone back, I've stored the work that I've already got, and from there I've then used it to save myself some time, because I've already worked really hard on those bits. So I just wanted to, I needed some images, and I thought, well, I'll go back and use what I've already done because I worked really hard on them. So magpie those ideas from your previous work. You could magpie ideas from my previous work, obviously trying to make it your own, but which it will be because it's in your own story. But don't use cliches, try to be original and just use what you've already done. Use detailed descriptions, so don't forget adjectives to begin expanded noun phrases, and then similes and metaphors to add more information. Name it. I didn't just say a cloud, I said a cumulonimbus cloud, which is a storm cloud for lightning and thunder, and obviously the sky goblins were clinging on to forming lightning bolts. And then keep it in the present tense. So these were examples of words, so feels, catches, trembles, lurking, biding, clutching. In the context of the sentences, it's present tense that you need to be using. Okay, so that is your task for today. You've got a sheet that shows you the sentence starters. You've got a sheet that can support you, which is this version that I did. Use it if you find it helpful. It just breaks it down into different sections for you, and then you can work on each one little by little. But as I say, like, you do need to invest time into this. And then you've also got a couple of links here and there that can help you. I'm really excited to read your preludes. Please make them good. Some of our writing so far, we have been raving about how amazing your writing has been, and we're hopefully going to be able to hoping we can do some quite exciting stuff with your writing, but you need to be maintaining your high quality level the whole way through. You're doing a really brilliant job, so just keep on doing what you're doing, and I'm really excited to read all your writing today.